Hey everyone, welcome back to When in Rome Travels. This is the much anticipated credit card mileage video. So a year and a half ago, Angel and I were introduced to the art of collecting frequent flyer miles to travel for free, or what's better known as travel hacking. And a good friend of ours who's really an expert introduced this to us in San Diego while we were there for Thanksgiving. Until that point, we really had no idea. There's literally a whole world of people out there dedicated to traveling for free. They fly for free, they stay for free, they eat for free. Yep, that's right, I said free. If you're not interested in how to learn how to travel for free, this video might not be for you, but if free travel does pique your interest, let's continue. Our family of 5 is just finishing up our 1-year trip around the world. We left from Canada and we're in Mexico now, and we've covered 27 countries in between. And believe it or not, we haven't paid a single dollar for our flights. You might be saying, that's unbelievable. Well, you'd be right, but it's not impossible. Here's the deal. Throughout our travels, we've met hundreds of families who have said, we'd love to travel, but we just can't afford to. And a lot of our viewers tell us all the time, we wish we could afford to travel like you. I hear you. But here's the thing. If you already have a credit card, you're generally responsible about paying it off every month, and you like to do things like eating out or taking a vacation once or twice a year, you're potentially wasting a massive opportunity by not getting into the miles and points universe. With a little hard work and a little organization, I was able to amass just over 700,000 frequent flyer points in just under 9 months. There's a lot of info out there to digest when you first start learning about the miles and points game, and it took me a lot of hours of research to sort of get my bearings and figure out what was what. So whether you're watching this video to learn how to fly around the world for free like we did, or you just want to be able to take your wife to the Maldives for a really nice vacation and not pay for it, I can show you how. Here was our route. In July of 2017, we flew out of Vancouver and headed for London. We used 121,000 mileage points through Chase to get there. From London, we flew to Amsterdam. We used credit card travel bonuses to get money back, and we flew through a budget airline called Vueling. After 4 months in a camper van around Europe, we then took a flight from Amsterdam to Cochin, India. A month later, we flew from New Delhi to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. From Bangkok, we flew to Hanoi. From Siem Reap, we flew to Bali. From Bali, we flew to Borneo, Borneo to Hong Kong, and Hong Kong down to Cancun. In about a month, we'll be leaving Cancun and we'll fly back up to Montana, which is our home base, and we'll be doing that for free too. First things first, if you're going to set off on this points and miles journey, you should start with a goal in mind. Do you want a free trip to Europe in economy class? Do you want to take the whole family to Disney World in Orlando? Are you dying to see Angkor Wat in Cambodia? All of these goals require different numbers of points, aka miles, so it's important to know what you're aiming for. So the first step is to consider what type of credit card strategy you're going to use. There are 2 main credit card strategies, each which give you different benefits. The first strategy is to apply for an airline-specific credit card, things like Delta, Alaska, Southwest, British Airways. This means that all the points you accumulate through your daily spending or through your rewards can only be used to book flights with that sponsoring airline. These can be really useful if you live near a hub for that particular airline. For example, if you live near Southwest main hub or Delta's hub. The other strategy is to apply for cards that are non-airline specific, and which will allow you to spend your points in 2 ways. The first way is to transfer your points to one of your card's airline or hotel partners, which then allows you to book directly with that airline or any of the airlines in their partner network. The other option is to book directly through your credit card's travel portal. The key here is to figure out which option gives you the most bang for your buck. Sometimes transferring points to a specific airline is a better deal, and sometimes buying through your credit card's travel portal gives you a great deal. The key is to just do a sample search on both sites before you buy tickets to see which one gives you the better deal via points. So let me simplify this a bit for you by giving you a couple of examples of how this worked. I decided to apply for the Delta Airlines American Express card, one for myself and one for Angel. It was an easy $1,000 spending limit over 3 months, and you got a really nice 30,000 point bonus at the end. So we were able to spend that money pretty easily within a few weeks, and at the end of that, within about a week, they gave Angel his 30,000 points and I got my 30,000 points. Worked great. However, when I tried to use those points later on when we were traveling in Europe, their point comparison did not compare to any of the budget airlines in Europe, like Vueling, for example. And the same thing happened when we were in Asia. None of the budget airlines, none of the points through Delta matched up with anything that I could get from budget airlines. So I decided not to use those points. However, when my card came up for renewal, after 1 year, I didn't want to continue to pay for the card without having used those points. I even tried to combine our points into one account to have 60,000 points altogether and buy one nice flight through there. However, they wouldn't let me transfer without a really hefty fee. Ideally, I should have been able to use this card without trouble, but because we weren't flying out of any places that were a Delta hub, 30,000 points just wasn't enough to buy us a flight. I ended up cashing out for gift cards, which I will tell you do not do unless you're in a pickle because they are not value oriented. There are two main reasons why airline specific cards are good value. If you live near a hub, they can be a great deal for that particular airline. If you fly a lot too with a particular airline like Delta, you can combine your frequent flyer points through flying with your rewards points on your card. It's useful to do some research and look up the airports around you and see which airlines fly in and out of there. Oftentimes they'll give really good deals to places that you've never thought about traveling before, and now those places look pretty good for a vacation because you can fly there for free. Here's my big gripe about airline cards though. With airline credit cards, you're betting on that airline. And that's what I always warn people about. Some offer really amazing deals, but overnight they can change or devalue their points. Like Delta, for example, can say, okay, it was this much to get to Asia, and now it's double. And you might say, well, I've been saving up for this trip for 4 years, and now I can't get there. So my problem is that airlines continually move the goalpost for how much it costs to get to a particular place. I'm not completely discouraging you from getting airline-specific cards, but they didn't work very well for us when we traveled around the world. However, the goal is to diversify where your points come from, so don't count them out. The second type of credit card, and for me the best option, are the ones that allow you to transfer your points out. You're able to accrue and amass your points in a central pool, and then transfer those points to another airline or their affiliate partners. You have about 1 million options on how you can redeem those flights, but specifically they work for flights. There are a lot of companies that offer reward-specific cards, but my two favorites are Chase and American Express. The nice thing about both is that they offer a wide variety of cards, which you can apply for depending on your credit level and your credit history, and it helps you keep earning points. So let's look at Chase first. With Chase, you'll want to be looking for either a Chase Sapphire Reserve, a Chase Sapphire Preferred card, which has a 50,000 sign-up bonus now, the Inc. Business Preferred Credit Card, which has an 80,000 point sign-up bonus, and these three cards allow you to transfer your points to any of their Ultimate Rewards transfer partners. There are 11 in total. Even if you have other Chase cards, which aren't one of the ones I just mentioned, you can still pool all your points together from all your Chase cards on one card to buy flights, which is a really nice thing, and you can do it without fees. Sometimes purchasing flights through a travel portal gives you a really good deal, which is what I did when we flew from Vancouver to London. I used Chase's travel portal. And sometimes you'll find really snappy deals with their travel partners, and you can transfer to them instead. There are some caveats here about transferring to partners. Sometimes they're one-to-one value and sometimes they're not. So it's good to be aware of which airlines, but I don't think we have time to get into that here, so you'll need to do some personal research. I also really like Chase because they tend to have lower annual fees, and often they even waive the first annual fee for you, which is exactly what you're looking for when you start amassing credit card points through cards. We'll talk about why in a minute. The other major company that gives travel reward benefit cards are Amex's. Amex cards are my favorite. They tend to be the most generous when it comes to point values, and they tend to be really easy to transfer out. You can transfer them all into one single Amex account, or you can transfer them all into an affiliate account and buy your flights, which makes your point to value ratio really high. A really valuable thing to know is which airline alliance each company is allied with. Chase transfers to the Sky Alliance. Their key member is Delta. Not only can you transfer miles to Delta, but you can also transfer to their affiliate airlines. Some of these include Air France, China Air, Kenya Airways, and Alitalia. American Express easily transfers to the Star Alliance. Their major airline is United, which is a personal favorite of mine, and their affiliates include Singapore Airlines, Lufthansa, and my rockstar travel partner, Air Canada. I was able to transfer 400,000 points into my Aeroplan account with Air Canada, free of charge, and purchased our flights from Amsterdam to India, Hong Kong to Denver, and Cancun to Montana for free, for 5 people. Not kidding. The last major alliance is the One World Alliance, and that includes American Airlines, British Airways, Qantas, and Japan Airlines. Both cards work with those, sometimes one better than the other, and if you collect British Airways Avios, you can find stellar deals here. I hope you see where I'm going with this. Figure out your destination. Do some research on which airlines fly in there the cheapest, figure out which alliance they're a part of, and then see whether you should be using points with Chase or with Amex. And then you get the most value out of your points. Okay, so we talked about what type of cards to look for and which companies offer them. Let's talk about the process of accumulating points. What is the process? First, you have to apply for the card. Be aware that Amex typically requires a little bit higher credit score, something above a 750, but Chase gives a better value, and if you have a credit score between 700 and 750, a lot of those cards are applicable. Here's an insider tip. If you're in the business of accumulating a lot of mileage fast, like we did because we wanted to travel around the world, you can apply for up to 2 to 3 cards on the same day, and they'll only pull your credit once. This is a big deal. You should be looking for cards that have big bonuses, somewhere in the order of 40,000 to 80,000 mileage reward points. Anything smaller than that is probably not going to be worth your time. There are some cards that have higher annual fees. You'll see some with a $450 annual fee. Those are typically Amex's. Sometimes they're worth it because they'll give you a $300 travel credit, or you may see like a $200 Uber credit. If you use Uber a lot or you are planning to travel, sometimes those cards are really good value. I like cards that don't have an annual fee, but I also use those as well. Once you get your card in the mail, you want to figure out exactly how much you should spend on it, how much time you need to spend it, and you should use it for everything. You should buy your coffee, you should buy your groceries, you should go to Target with it. If a family member is making a large purchase, a computer or something, have them use your card and pay you back. You can even buy gift cards at Walmart for $500 a piece and use them to pay your bills. There's a lot of ways to meet those minimum spend requirements. If you need some ideas, you can Google 40 ways to meet minimum credit card spend by the Million Miles guy and come up with a lot of good ideas there. Here's the key. The key is to pay off your balance as soon as it posts to avoid any fees associated with the balance. You don't want late fees and you don't want interest charge fees. A lot of cards don't charge interest for the first year, so you're safe there. Not carrying a balance at any time during the month is important to keeping your credit healthy. Your debt to limit ratio should always be 0. You need to track your spending. As soon as you've hit that minimum spend limit, don't use the card anymore. Put it away and don't touch it. In a safe place, of course. You should receive your mileage within a few weeks, and you can start using it right away. Once you've met that minimum spend, start another card. Don't spend any more money on your old cards. There's no point spending money on cards where you've already earned a reward. The dollar for point value is terrible. Only go after cards that offer you big rewards. I have 6 or 8 credit cards open. It can get really confusing. So what I like to do is keep track of all my cards in a spreadsheet. When I first get the card, what I like to do is write down how much time I need to spend my minimum in, how much the minimum is, how many points I expect to get, and then once I've used the card at the end, I write whether or not I got the points I expected and how I used them. I also write down what date I need to close that card by so that I don't get an annual fee charge. So you might be asking a really key question. Won't this affect my credit? The answer is no. In fact, your credit should get better. A few really important things to consider when you start doing this. Be honest with yourself about your spending habits. Do you have a difficult time paying off your balances every month? If so, this might not be the right game for you. But if you're the type of person to pay off your balance every month, this is perfect. There are 2 major things that affect your credit. The debt to limit ratio is the first one. Keeping your cards at a 0 balance will keep your credit high because your debt limit will be high, but your balance owed will be low. Ideally, it should be 0. In this way, when you cancel a card, your debt will always be low compared to your limit. If you cancel a card that has a $10,000 limit, that amount coming off your max limit won't affect your overall credit score. The other major thing that affects your credit is your length of credit. If you have old credit cards, you should always keep those. Keep paying their annual fees, or even call the company and ask them to waive the annual fee. A lot of times they will for long-time customers. These long-established credit cards are what keep your credit healthy. They lengthen the time of your credit. All these new cards that you're opening for 9 months or a year, they don't affect your credit score at all. They'll be on there as a hard credit pull, ideally just one at a time, and then they'll drop off after 18 months. Your credit should start going up every time you do this. Here's the thing, you want to be able to amass as many points as you can, but credit card companies only allow you to apply for each card one time. Amex is the exception. They do allow you to reapply in 7 years, but that's not very helpful if you're going to try to amass a lot of points right now. Here's what you do. You apply for your name, you apply for your spouse's name, you apply in your business name, you apply in your spouse's business name. Take, for example, the Chase Inc. Preferred Card, 80,000 points sign-up bonus. Imagine 80,000 points 4 times. Once for me, once for Angel, once for my business, once for Angel's business. When you go to close a card, ideally you should be closing a card 9 months to 11 months before or after you opened it. You don't want to pay the annual fee. When you go to close it, you want to transfer out all the points on that card before closing it. Otherwise, they're useless. Here's what you should know about flights. Google Flights and Skyscanner are your best friend when it comes to flying cheap flights. You can type in where you want to go, where you're flying out of from, potential dates, and it'll give you every day for the next 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, with every price on those days. It works out really great. You can see when it's cheapest to fly. Typically, buying flights on a Tuesday afternoon is the cheapest time to buy. Airlines tend to lower their prices on Tuesday afternoons. You can also transfer a lot of these points to hotels. Marriott is the big one. Starwood is the other one that allows you to transfer out to hotels. So if you're looking to stay for free as well, also look at hotel credit cards. If you're looking to just travel to one particular place, like I said, you want to take your wife to the Maldives, look and do some research to see which airlines fly into the Maldives, see who's giving the best rate, and then try to match them up with credit cards that give you the best point value. If you're planning to travel the world like we did, apply for everything you can. Every point comes in handy. Keep up with websites like the Nerd Wallet and the Points Guy, who release weekly info on how to accumulate points, how to use them to their best advantage, and which travel cards are being released in the next month or so. I'll start you on the way with my favorite credit card. The number one card most people apply for initially is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. It has good earning and redeeming. You earn 2 points per dollar on all travel and all dining. So most airline or hotel credit cards, you get 2 points for that airline or that hotel. But with the Sapphire, you get 2 times on every single airline, every single hotel, car rental, subway, parking, campground, amusement park. It's a huge category. Chase is fantastic because you can transfer those points out to other Chase cards easily and combine your points to buy trips. They don't require a huge spending minimum, and they aren't as difficult to get as Amex. So what happens if you want to do this but you don't have good credit? Here's the deal. The biggest hit on your credit score is your debt to limit ratio. Pay down your credit cards as hard and as fast as you can. They've already made thousands of dollars of you from interest. It's time to start earning your rewards with some rewards back. If you have great credit, now's the time to start collecting points. You could be sitting on the beach here in Mexico in just a couple of months. Someone was kind enough to start me on the road to travel hacking a year ago, and thanks to them, we've been able to take a trip of a lifetime. Travel's for everyone. As Gustave Flaubert once said, travel makes one modest. You see what a humble place you occupy in the world. We are a tiny part of an amazing, beautiful, and big world. I hope the information you found in this video will help you get on the way to making it a little bit smaller.
Thanks guys for watching this video. If you liked it, what should you do? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Share with your friends. Maybe you'll have someone who has a desire to travel and not pay for their flight. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Should we do another take?
No.